January 4th, 2016. Let's call a meeting to order. First order of business is going to be a swearing in of newly elected trustees Lamar Sprackland. Unless you have a particular person you'd like to have that done, Ms. Selman would be happy to do the honors, I believe.
Okay. I think you have to hold up one of your hands. The truthful one. I, D. Lamar Sprackland,
I, D. Lamar Sprackland,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I support the Constitution of the United States
that I support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and will faithfully discharge the duties of Miami Township Trustee
will faithfully discharge the duties of Miami Township Trustee
in Greene County,
in Greene County,
State of Ohio,
State of Ohio,
during my continuance in office.
during my continuance in office.
You're done. Thank you.
Congratulations. Welcome back again and again. Third time's a charm. Is that right?
This is on second. Second.
Swearing.
Well, I was there for 14 years, and then I was out for a year. Now
Yeah, but you'd had the first time. That was your first time. And then,
And
then
then
4
years later, so-
yeah, and then you were out, and then there was a second time.
this is it.
Well, last January was the time you
okay.
swore in.
I don't remember getting sworn in last year, did I?
Yeah. Because I copied the oath.
Yeah.
In January.
Well, yeah, I guess.
All right, well,
Anywho,
I was sworn in last January, why did I have to do it again today?
Because you just got in one.
Okay.
all right, let's move along. So we will need a motion to appoint a temporary chairperson to call for nominations for board president for the year 2016. Is there a motion?
There's a motion.
Mr. Crockett moves.
Second.
me.
Oh, yes,
Nominating.
I'm sorry, we're not, yes, correct, I'm sorry, we're nominating fiscal officer Solomon.
You're not?
We are.
Yes, we are.
Oh, you now are.
Mark did. I'll
Mark
second.
did,
Yeah, I did.
Lamar seconded.
Okay.
Let's vote on that, please.
Mr. Crockett?
Yes.
Mr. Sprackland?
Yes.
Mr. Meacher?
Yes.
Okay. Now I, being a temporary chairperson, calls for nominations for a new board president for the year 2016.
I'll nominate Mark Crockett.
A second?
All right. And if there's no more conversation, no contest, we'll vote. Mr. Sprackland?
Yes.
Mr. Meacher?
Yes.
Mr. Crockett?
Yes.
All right. So Mark's the new president. Now he calls for nominations for vice president.
All right. So I would now like to call for nominations for vice president.
I'll nominate Lamar.
And I'll second that.
Okay, ready for a vote? Mr. Meacher
Yes.
and Mr. Crockett?
Yes.
Mr. Sprackling?
Yes.
All right.
Okay. As is our tradition. I need a motion for the adoption of the minutes from December 16th and 29th.
I move as presented. There are a number of small changes in the 16th.
Are there?
I second.
Amended?
As amended. May we take a vote?
Mr. Sprackling?
Yes.
Mr. Crockett?
Yes.
Mr. Meacher?
Yes.
And I need a motion for payment of the bills to the tune of $23,427.04, with $2,823.66 from the general, And fire, 13,569.66. And cemetery, 493 cents. From EMS billing, 5,098 cents. And road and bridge, 1,632.56 cents.
I move to be approved.
Second.
May we take a vote?
Mr. Crockett?
Yes.
Mr. Franklin?
Yes.
Mr. Meister?
Yes.
Okay.
I move to accept the zoning fees for the year of 2016 as they were in 15.
Second.
Okay.
I would like to suggest that for the permit fee, we change it from $5 and a half of 1/10% of the value of the project to $10 plus. Our basic operating costs have increased, and it seems to me that flat fee should represent those costs. But it's not critical, and I've gone back and forth over the years. We're basically providing a service to the residents of Miami Township, but we decided to charge a fee for the service, so there's a logic to it. I'm trying to tease that out and make it appropriate. I also decided, I was thinking about this, that I'm going to review with Margaret and the Yellow Springs News and find out if our advertising costs are in line with our costs for our fees for other, for our hearings and if inflation has made a significant change there. But I'm not advocating changing the fees in terms of just keeping pace with inflation is the primary goal, not to increase them for any other reason.
What's the percentage again? So it would be $10 plus.
We basically charge $5 for every $10,000 of evaluation. It's 0.02%. I believe I've said that right. I'll look and make sure. No, it's 0.05%, not 2, yeah. I was thinking the half when I said the 2. It's a 20th
Spend
percent.
$5 for 10,000.
No, we charge $5 plus $5 per 10,000. So if you have a $100,000 project, it's going to cost you $55 for the permit. And I'm proposing to charge you $60 for the permit instead of $55.
I'm happy that you are taking note of those things and thinking about them. I appreciate it. In the future, I would ask that you make that proposal prior to this meeting. And, I mean, we've already moved and seconded.
Yeah, no, I understand.
So, I
And as I say, I didn't, as I say, it was at the end of the year and I'm looking at it and thinking about it, and it's true, and there are other things. So maybe all of this should wait another year, but it's not going to make any wild difference. We can discuss in advance, however it's appropriate to do that.
But the only thing is, I don't remember right often, help me, we've moved in second, how do we get out of that?
No, you moved to second, and there's discussion.
There's discussion.
And so,
Yeah, but then we have to change.
Well, you can either,
You amend the motion.
you can amend it or you can vote it down and go again. Lots of ways.
and I would propose that we consider amending the motion.
So
I don't know.
how many permits did you do last year? Some approximate number.
It's 14.
14 times 5.
Yeah, so it'll change it from, it'll add another $70 to the revenue. Yeah, I know, it's not a big deal.
Well, it's not, but we try to watch the budget down to a penny. So I would say that $70 is $70.
When was the last time it was changed anyway?
Oh, it hasn't been changed as long as I've been here, 15 years.
Inflation has.
So Mark made a motion to
Amen.
made a motion to add an amendment to the motion. I'll second that. And then we vote on the amendment, and then we vote on the.
But
on
we
the-
did
on
move
the
and
if you
second
want.
the first motion, but never voted on it. I'm just confused.
You make the, I think you make the amendment before you vote on the motion.
Yeah.
Then you vote on the
We
motion
actually just-
as amended.
So we have 2 moves and 2 seconds before a vote.
Well, we have a motion on the table, and then we have an amendment to the motion, and that's been seconded. Now we need to vote on the amendment.
All right,
And if the amendment passes, then we vote on the motion.
okay,
That sounds logical.
works for me.
That's correct.
So may we have a vote?
Mr. Crockett?
Yes.
Mr. Spratlin?
Yes,
Mr. Mutcher?
Yes. Now we vote on the
on the motion as amended.
amendment.
Okay, Mr. Mutcher?
Yes?
Mr. Crockett?
Yes.
Mr. Spratlin?
Yes.
So what we have done is increase the rate by $5
Yes.
from 5
5
to
to
10.
10. All other fees are staying the same.
Motion to establish rate for travel outside of township at 54 cents per mile.
I move.
Second?
And
The discussion on that is, it had been 50, for us, 56.5. Technically, it could have been 57. That's what it was last year. We didn't change it, but it's now 54. Okay, just want to make sure. This is IRS.
okay. If there's no further discussion, may we vote?
Mr. Spratlin?
Yes.
Mr. Crockett?
Yes.
Mr. Mutcher?
Yes.
Okay, we need a motion to,
Mr. President, before we move, can I add my 2 cents here?
absolutely.
This next one is the board appointments, and it's the same ones that we've done forever. I was just thinking earlier this afternoon that since Mr. Spratlin was not here last January when we made these appointments through the year of 2015, so he didn't have the opportunity to lobby and/or, request, that we might open this up and offer him the opportunity to at least express an interest in any of the particular ones that we have before we go divvying him up and leaving him out, basically.
No, really, I think we should just leave it the
It's
same way.
it was just a thought, so that's up to you, Mr. President, if you want
Well-
to make that offer to him.
Well, no, I think that's a good point.
Well, I would, unless Mark really has a desire for that cemetery position, I'll take that. That's the position I used to have years ago.
That wouldn't bother me a bit.
And Mark tends to take care of the village thing. He knows the people, has the connections a lot better than I do. So I would be willing to do the cemetery.
All right, burning desire for anything else, or is that pretty
Not
much your
really, but I'll
your
do
first?
whatever needs to be done.
Okay. All right, Mark, I'm sorry to
Oh, no, that's,
take your cemetery job away from you now.
no, I would say that anytime you feel like adding 2 cents or a quarter, all for it.
Mark, like I say, Mark has been on the community resources. Chris has been Grinnell Mill.
Can I do community resources again?
Sure.
I don't know how they,
They opened membership, they took all those requirements, they resolved them.
oh, really? Okay.
They can do it for life. If they ever get reorganized, you can have it for life if you'd like.
Okay. It'd be nice to put in my 2 cents there.
Who's been doing the Council on Aging?
I have been,
And
But if
If
you're
you want to
interested in-
continue, I'm just trying to do my part.
Mhm.
There's,
Well, what I discovered
I know
was
they
that the Greene County Council on Aging structure had been changed. And really what you would be doing would be taking a general membership and attending the regular meetings that they have once a month.
no, I should have kept my mouth shut.
And I think that,
I don't want to go down there and mess around with those old people.
well, what I wanted to do was shift
Yeah, you can mess it
our
up.
efforts to the Yellow Springs, but you're in the township, so, you know, Greene County would be probably a better connection.
We can both do it.
Yeah,
We'll just work
well, that's
on
what I
it.
was thinking of.
Co-membership.
Yeah, yeah, I would prefer that.
That's okay. That's fine. And Clifton section is one of you two. I move the above people
Oh,
be appointed.
hold the door here, we haven't done the Chris's dealios.
Yeah, no,
Well, if no one else, you know, wants it, I will maintain my position as MVRPC board member, executive board member, and regional planning commission member, and Grinnell Mill Foundation member.
Who's a technical advisory committee?
That's him.
It's me, but John Eastwood did go to those meetings because he was professionally interested in them. Traditionally, we don't go to them because they are pretty much aimed specifically at large road projects in the five-county area, you know, redoing Interstate 75 or those sorts of things that just really fall outside of Miami Township. So I'll be the tech.
I don't think they're gonna listen to me.
I will put my name down as a representative, but unless something specific to the township comes up on the agenda, I don't plan to attend them, and we
I
haven't.
think
in the
that makes
past.
a full schedule. I move the above people be appointed.
I'm second.
So we have a motion to accept the listed committee members. If there's no further discussion, may we have a vote, please?
Mr. Mutcher?
Yes.
Mr. Crockett?
Yes.
Mr. Spracklen?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm excited about the idea of working with a joint effort on Greene County Council on Aging, Yellow Springs, and hopefully include Clifton too. But, okay, motion to establish a meeting schedule for the year 2016 as follows. First and third Mondays of each month. Unless they fall on a holiday, then meetings will be on the Wednesday following the holiday. Special meetings will be posted on the township's website and fire station bulletin board.
So moved.
Second?
Any further discussion? If not, may we take a vote?
Mr. Spracklen?
Yes.
Mr. Crockett?
Yes.
Mr. Mutcher?
Yes.
Washington Terra
Okay.
This morning.
Motion to set contracts with Greene Township, Clifton Union Cemetery Maintenance, and with Village of Clifton for snow removal and street repair as requested. Each contract to be negotiated separately and as soon as possible. Then we have a motion.
Second?
Okay. If there's no further discussion, may we take a vote?
Mr. Mutcher?
Yes.
Mr. Crockett?
Yes.
Mr. Spracklen?
Yes.
And you're gonna set that meeting up, Mark?
I move we,
Yes, you will.
Okay.
Mr. President.
move we adjourn to executive session to discuss matters of personnel.
I second.
You gonna be there?
I guess we don't have to specifically say the reason. I guess it's for hiring and firing
Okay.
reason. Well, you say, yeah, but it needs to be on there.
Yeah,
Well,
Okay.
yeah, it'll be, okay,
Um,
yeah,
So I will
So-
second if I didn't, so we'll vote.
you did.
Okay. And I vote yes.
okay,
Yes, all in favor?
Vote yes.
yes.
We're out of here.
7:22.
Okay, I'll be right back. Before you guys leave.
So we're the only ones.
I'm new here.
Okay. We need a motion to adjourn executive session and return to regular session.
Okay, we can't move to adjourn the executive session because we were in executive session,
Okay.
we can't do that, but we
So
are
we
back
can
in.
return to.
We can return at 7:31, so.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Whatever it is.
Well, it's a motion to return to regular session. And if there's no further discussion, may we take a vote?
No, we're not, we cannot do that.
We can't do that.
All right,
We're just,
we're just coming back to.
Just coming back,
we're
okay.
Reconvening in public session.
Okay.
But there's a
Okay.
second hanging out there if you ever need one.
We're gonna need one pretty soon.
Well, we will.
I'm just curious, when you're in executive session, do you have to vote to terminate the executive session?
No.
No.
See, I'm sorry, this is messing him up, because it is listed on motion to adjourn executive
Yeah, I
session.
thought we always done
You
that.
can't do that, because you're in executive session, that motion would be made in there.
Right, that's
There's no
it.
there's no one to take minutes, and there's no one to
Record
call
it.
for the
Yeah.
for the question. So it can't
So
be
it
done.
can't, yeah, it can't. I see.
You're trapped in executive session forever.
Right, so we're gonna strike that from
Yes, we
that.
are.
Okay.
Well, okay. How about a motion to appoint Colin Altman as fire chief, Dennis Powell as assistant fire chief, and any additional full-time or multiple part-time firefighter, EMT, paramedics as needed, and all current volunteers on the roster.
Okay, I'll move, and Lamar's already seconded.
Any further discussion? If not, maybe we take a vote.
Mr. Spracklen?
My second wasn't wasted. Yes.
Mr. Crockett?
Yes.
Mr. Mutcher?
Yes.
Can you save them? No, that's no discussion. Motion to appoint Daniel Gokenhour, road department employee, and any other part-time employees as necessary.
So move.
Okay.
Second.
And if there is no further discussion, may we have a vote?
Mr. Crockett?
Yes.
Mr. Mutcher?
Yes.
Mr. Spracklen?
Yes.
Mr. Gokenhour? Oh, just kidding.
Motion to appoint Richard Zoff, zoning inspector, for the year 2016.
I'll move.
I'll second that. And if no further discussion.
Well, I don't know, maybe we ought to discuss this, maybe we ought to think about this.
But you already had.
All right, no further discussion.
Okay, may we have a vote, please?
Mr. Mutcher?
Yes.
Mr. Crockett?
Yes.
Mr. Spracklen?
Yes.
Motion to appoint Kathy Bayless to zoning commission.
It's BZA, Margaret.
BZA.
Yeah, Kathy's on BZA.
Okay, so where's Joe?
Commission.
Oh, we goofed these up this morning.
Has these people been asked?
You don't ask, you know, they have to hit themselves off.
Don't let us know that.
All right, I got them switched.
No, it is an interesting thing. You serve until you retire or something else is appointed in your place.
That's right.
But you don't actually have to negotiate it.
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
If there is no further discussion, may we have a vote?
Mr. Crockett?
Yes.
Mr. Spracklen?
Yes.
Mr. Mutcher?
Did you figure? Yes.
It's still a little, yes, I feel like, fresh truck.
Okay.
Fuel tank.
Which is right there.
So the next one is,
It's Kathy
Yes.
Bailey's.
the next one is the commission.
Yeah.
So change that to-
Motion to appoint Joel Fulton to the zoning commission.
Also move.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'll second.
If there's no further discussion, may we have a vote?
Mr. Sprackman?
Yes.
Mr. Crockett?
Yes.
Mr. Mutcher?
Yes.
Okay, motion to establish 2019 schedule for full-time employees at current rate with a 2% cost of living increase retroactive to January 1st.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any further discussion?
These are the technically full-time, not necessarily 40 hours, so that does include Joe, Jason, who else?
Oh, my people?
Yeah.
You don't want to ask people.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Who's it? Me, Denny, Joe, Jason, and,
Nate.
Oh, okay, that was the third. No, that's right, there's.
Well, there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the full-time people.
If no further discussion, may we have a vote?
Mr. Sprackman?
Yes.
Mr. Crockett?
Yes.
Mr. Mutcher?
Yes.
Okay, motion to establish holiday schedule for 2016 as follows. Martin Luther King Day, are the dates correct?
They look correct, yes.
Okay,
I believe so.
January 18th. President's Day, February 15th. Memorial Day, May 30th. Independence Day, July 4th. Labor Day, September 5th. Columbus Day, October 10th. Veterans Day, November 14th. Thanksgiving Day, November 24th. Christmas Day, Monday, December 26th, in lieu of December 25th, what's that?
It's on a Sunday.
Okay.
Christmas falls on Sunday.
All right. New Year's Day, Monday, January 2nd, in lieu of Sunday, January 1st. Okay,
I'll move.
okay. Everybody has a copy?
Is there a second?
I was second, yeah, I was checking the calendar.
Okay. You good?
Yeah, these are days that are on the calendar.
There we go. We're official then.
So, anytime a meeting falls on these days, it's be Wednesday instead of Monday.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just not very clear
That
why
happened
we had to
very
write them all down, when we already know that those are holidays.
Those are the ones that we are
We are
providing to our employees,
The day off.
That's 10 days.
Yes, it
That's
is.
right.
Pretty well covers them, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. You know, we're missing Arbor Day and Flag Day.
Bob Cooper has asked for Australia Day off.
Australia Day,
I'll second.
Boxing Day.
I'll second.
There are some organizations vary this a little bit.
Bastille Day for Richard.
And my birthday.
Yeah,
Birthdays are done in November.
Everybody's
Everybody's
birthdays,
birthday,
certainly, yeah, they all want those off.
Well, and I definitely think that this gas fume thing is going too far. I mean, I appreciate that you need a new building. I really do.
Yeah, really.
How's our fans doing? Not very well today.
I don't think we actually have a working fan out in the building.
Yeah. Okay, so we have a first, and we have a motion made and a second. If there's no further discussion, maybe we have a vote, please.
Mr. Sprackman?
Yes.
Mr. Mutcher?
Yes.
Mr. Crockett?
Yes. Okay.
Gee, Huey.
Correspondence. We got a newsletter from the grass clippings, grassroots clippings. I want to say grass clippings, but it's grassroots clippings. Email from OCA, guest speaker at OTA conference. Email from Zero Prostate Cancer Campaign. Email from,
You know, let me just comment, I mean, that's a enviable cause and everything, it just, I can't decide whether that was a legitimate request, just the way it was presented. I'm sorry, so that's why
Yeah, they
I
wanted a
didn't-
resolution,
I
right?
didn't make up a resolution.
Yeah,
You guys can decide to change that if you like at some future time, but that was what I thought. I just.
yeah,
it just
I
was
didn't
legit.
see it as a request either. I quite honestly interpret it as a bulletin announcing that this was the event. So if we need a motion to establish a Zero Prostate Cancer
no.
Well, the request was in a form of a resolution, blah, blah, blah. And frankly, I think the second one, or the next one is just a fishing from some salesperson. I don't think we have a deferred compensation.
nationwide
Department.
deferred compensation, I've never heard of it.
What do we do? So Shelley, she works down in the basement.
Yeah, Shelley too.
Okay, MVRPC, an email from the RPCC director.
Now, that is, and I hope you've got them all, Dan, you would ask for addresses. And now you should have address for all three cemeteries, correct? Okay, all right, just want to make sure.
Okay, email from the county auditor's office. Apparently Margaret made a mistake.
I did, these are my real life.
And email from ODOT.
Let me tell you real quick.
Yeah.
This is the funniest thing. If you recall, about a month ago, I had written no doubt because there was a couple signs down on 343 and the guardrail and this, that, and the other thing. And they went ahead, they replaced one relatively quickly at the corner of 343 and 68. The one on Meredith Road, they never changed. The one near Peaches, the fire department that's leading in, that was never changed. And then I just noticed that yesterday that a speed limit sign at the cemetery, Glen Forest East, the 50-mile-an-hour speed limit sign, that snapped off and is lying on the ground too.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, so I thought I'd take the opportunity to write the guy back and say, you know, here's another sign that's down, and whatever happened to the other two? And I did that, and he immediately wrote back, and I thought it was just so cute, he says, yes, Chris, they'll be taken care of hopefully this week. While we were up there replacing the other signs, our sign truck broke down, and it's been at Interstate and Ford for a while. We just got it back, and we'll get back in business. This is the state of Ohio, and everything's come to a stop because their trucks at Interstate Ford getting fixed. I think they was
It's one
I
It's
think-
an important truck.
Yeah, I just think that was a riot. But anyway, that was nice of them
Their sign truck.
to, yeah.
They
Apparently
get
they have
one of
one
these
truck
tools
that
she
they only
wants
use
in
for
there.
sales.
Apparently
That
they do in
wrench
district.
it takes to
Awesome.
bolts it.
No wonder taxes are where they are.
Yeah. So it does that.
Emails from Bath Township and Ross Township. Let's see.
I met with Mr., not Ross Township, that's
It's
Steve Ross.
Trustee Ross.
Yeah. I met with him the other day, and he just wanted to reassure us that they were still working on the possibility of using us on a contractual basis for their EMS service
Right.
section over by that township. So that's all that was.
So, okay. Email from fiscal officer Silliman to insurance agents regarding quotes.
Let's back up one correspondence, if we could. Email from Counselor Carnard about the option parcel on Glen Forest East, that's the one that's in the back, that we're
Right.
working on having transferred. We wanted to express the interest in exercising that option, and that's been working through. Hadn't heard anything from him. We had the deed made up through our prosecutor's office, and then it was sent over to him, and he reviewed it, it went through the village, and then he was supposed to have it recorded. And that's the last I heard of him in October, and I followed up with him the other day because nothing had happened, and he said, well, it's gonna happen next week, so I
Thought he said they're trying
don't know. They're still working, yeah, they're working.
His fountain pen isn't working.
Yeah, maybe. So anyway, that's where we are with that.
Okay, and the emails from Fiscal Officer Silliman regarding insurance quotes. Then email from Channel 5 Station Manager, DVD uploading.
Now, I just have to read this, even though she's
Yeah.
going to be looking at it and saying, I can't believe he's reading that, but she sends us emails. I got so distracted by Chris telling me that you wouldn't be needing me to do something else that I'll get into and uploading, that I completely forgot what I wanted to say. She says, I thought the festive disco ball Christmas lights during the last meeting were spectacular. She giggled and giggled through the whole thing. Happy New Year, made my day.
I think it should be a permanent fixture.
I thought that was the cutest email.
It was, I'm glad somebody appreciated it.
Okay.
Somebody watches them now.
Well, it's the station manager for
She has
Channel
that.
5.
And then our regular fund status, revenue status, appropriation status reports from 01, 05, 16.
I have no further correspondence.
Nor I.
Nor I that I can think of.
Mr. Vice President.
If there's no further discussion. Did we have a motion for that? No, we didn't. How about cemetery report?
Wait, you skipped one.
How about the fire department?
Oh, shoot.
Right there at the bottom.
I know he had a
That's
request.
stealth. Fire department.
Oh, God, it is at the very. Sorry about that, Chief.
All right, well, I don't, that's perfect. Not much for this first meeting of the year. In the last, 2 weeks, we've had 32 EMS calls, 12 fire incidents, 7 of those calls were all today.
Wow.
Yeah, starting at 3:17 this morning. We had a building fire this morning on Bryant Park Road, brought down a woodshed, which actually was a woodshed filled with acorns of chocolate.
Oh my.
And it all burned?
It's still burning. Well, it better be out now, but yes, it was all gone.
So what, if I might ask, what started it?
The preliminary opinion is that they also were housing chickens in there, and they lost their chickens, unfortunately. They had a small heating unit that helped keep the water from freezing for them. The only logical thing is that was something shorted or something causing the fire.
And what time is that? Was in the middle of the night?
3:17.
Why didn't you grab it?
Did the chickens call it in?
Luckily, the homeowner awoke to use the facilities and noticed that his shed was on fire.
Wow.
And
So listen to you all, electricity and water don't mix.
Correct. But I'm not sure how that apparatus works. So.
Probably didn't, wasn't in water.
No.
Yeah, that's the problem.
I don't think so.
Otherwise, the chickens may have been electrocuted.
Well, there was good point. It's either that or there were lights to replace. I mean, there's power to replace. So something electrical. Right. Okay. Preliminary numbers for last year are in, which indicate a 5% increase in call volume to a total of 1,251 calls for last year, which is an all-time high. 903 EMS calls and 348 fire calls.
That's a lot.
It's a whole hell of a lot. And there's no report, enough to report for the fire station company.
Are you responding to all the Fairborn call-outs too? All the call-outs from Fairborn?
Oh, yeah.
Because there seems to be some question of their padding, not padding necessarily their billing, but they respond to an awful lot of stuff. An awful lot of stuff.
Well, I know they discussed, that they were billing them, you know, if they send a fire truck to assist the ambulance, they bill them for 2 responses.
Yeah.
Which, is I mean, we would do that, because
That's-
it's one incident, it's multiple
that's,
responses, but it's one incident.
City of Fairborn,
Yeah,
because the township hires Fairborn to do their work.
correct.
They don't have their own fire department.
Correct.
So the Fairborn's sticking the top.
And rightly so.
That's one way to put it.
Yeah.
That would be
But,
our opinion, yes. I think that's their opinion, but.
Yeah, and you know, that brings up another issue. Do we get multiple calls from the same individual in a given year? Do you have a bunch of those, or?
Oh, God, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was curious as to whether, you know, springs had that phenomenon.
I mean, you tend to have the same people call?
Yeah, there's a gentleman, for instance, in the last 2 weeks, I think we've been to his house 12 times.
Well, you have nicknames for these people.
You mean for an emergency or a fire?
Medical call,
Medical?
yeah. I mean, yeah, he's not a healthy man, so.
Right, and it makes sense.
Did he need to make the calls?
Yeah. And we also have people who don't need to make calls, but have no one else to call or whatever, so.
They like the way you send us on.
It runs spurts. You know, we'll go, our classic was, there was a person who lost a place who I think called 72 times or whatever.
And
But
then
she moved
the-
to Springfield, so.
Yeah. Who do we bill in the case of that type of event?
The patient's bill.
If
And then,
we transport?
if we transport, yeah. And then it's up to their insurance company on how much they'll pay. And if the call is medically necessary. You know, sometimes when it's not, we're not getting any money if it's not medically, you know, if the insurance company deems it's not medically necessary. A lot of the patients are Medicare or Medicaid patients, and they always pay something, which is very nice of them. The Medicaid, not the person.
Right.
So if they're calling more often than you might think they should, just transport them each time and get paid for it.
Theoretically, yeah. That's-
The problem is, as I see it,
And
is
then
that
Medicare will do an investigation of your
Well,
operation.
that's what it tells us.
with the number of calls that you have, would suggest that time is of the essence, so making a decision not to transport would be efficient and use of time. So,
Yeah, I mean, we can't technically not, I mean, if someone requests to go to the hospital, we have to take them. We're not, some states have the ability for their EMS people to say, sorry, no, cut it.
well, and I don't trust you guys.
Neither do I, frankly, no. But we don't, that's not allowed in Ohio, under the current scopes of practice. That may be changing as community paramedicine comes in, but for right now, if they really want to go, and we can try and dissuade people, but sometimes that works. And we do a lot of no removals. I mean, of the 903 calls, the EMS calls, probably 150 are no transports, I would think. You know, where we went, we fixed them on the scene, and don't take them to the hospital. And the hospitals are pushing that, and the less people that have to come that don't need to come. It's better for them, it's better under the Affordable Care Act, all those kind of things, so. So, yeah, but I mean, it does tax us certainly. In this morning's call, for instance, the duty crew was out in an ambulance call and had just started transporting to Green, the fire came in, so we were short staffed. So luckily Cedarville and the Township came in and helped us out with the fire, which was nice. So the medic crew turned around very quickly at the hospital and they got their patient home.
So there were 3 fire departments at a woodshed fire?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Well, it came in as, they dispatched it as close to the house, so it's got a structured fire response instead of the woodshed fire response. And it turned out we needed the extra people to help out since we didn't have all of our people. But that's it.
Any further questions for the fire chief?
Did we buy a replacement defibrillator or a new one? I just paid $2,300 for it.
Oh, that was an upgrade.
For us or somebody here.
Oh, no, for us,
For us.
it's for, what's the older of the 2 Life Pack 15s, which is older by 2 years. Basically, it's a scam, but you're stuck. It enables, did a couple things, but also enables its Bluetooth. So basically, $2,300 for the tech to do a 23-minute software,
Really?
upload and whichever way that goes. But now it can transmit its data directly to the tablet devices we're getting and everything. The newer one did, it came with it. This one had it in all along, it's a terminal. Being a medical device, only a licensed professional is allowed to do that, so. Which is probably a good thing. The last thing I was, Tony O'Reilly working on defibrillators or me, frankly.
Yeah.
And what did that cost?
$2,300. Yeah, I think actually Danny literally fell out of his chair when he got the quote on that one.
How long did it take?
About 23 minutes.
New ones are like 2,800 or something. They're probably more nowadays, but.
The defibrillator?
Yeah.
Oh God, the new ones are $16,000, $17,000.
Oh.
Yeah, well, this is for the full monitor defibrillator. The little guys, like the.
Oh, that's what I was thinking.
They're about, actually about $1,800, yeah. But the full, actually they're about 26,000 now, the full guy, the big guys, so. So I guess it's worth, I guess it's worth it. We have to have it, so. Nothing is cheap. We have to replace, this year, both life packs have modems in them to transmit to the hospital, like Roy and Johnny style. And they're like 2G modems or something, so the physio control is finally upgrading to 3G. And of course, it's a proprietary modem, you can't just go and buy some little.
Oh, sure.
So, I don't know what the price is on that one. And we have to have it because regionally we're required to be able to transmit those EKGs to the hospital for heart attacks. So.
Sure.
But that's why we have EMS billing.
Yeah.
And bake sales and whatever else Bob can come up with, so.
If there are no further questions for the chief?
Now, I hate to say this, I'm trying to pull rank, but as former president of the board, I had a request prior to the transfer of power that Chief Altman be able to leave the meeting early.
Oh,
just
sure.
Because
Yeah.
he'd been up since 3 o'clock. And of course,
Well,
so is Dan.
and I was trying to
Dan.
ignore that, but because I forgot why. But yeah, you can,
So if that's all right, then.
yeah, that's fine.
Thank you, Mr. President and Mr. Former President. And of course, Mr. Vice
Okay,
President. If you need anything, I'll be back in tomorrow.
We just call him Joe.
Okay. All right, let's move on to the cemetery.
Well, not much to report. Next one.
Somebody carved this real quick.
Very much action.
I guess that's good.
That's very good for now.
Some people.
It'll get started pretty soon. I think we had 25 burials last year, ashes and full burials, so. And 11 in Clifton, I believe.
Yeah.
About average
That was
year.
about half the year before. I don't think 14, we had too many. I haven't counted them, but
Here,
yeah,
there's 25 up here.
2014.
Oh, yeah, I don't remember.
I don't think it was near that.
It was kind of a busy year.
25 this year, 15?
In Glen Forest,
You went for
ashes and full burials.
14 in Clifton.
11, I think. 4 ashes and 7 regular. Because that's because more. So not much, I need to top off some graves, but weather permitting, get to that soon.
I don't know if that might be wrong.
Yeah. The ground tightens up right, get in there, I'll be all right. I have a lot of things I'd like to start doing. Weather's keeping me from moving. So I don't really have a whole lot to talk about.
Salt's no problem this year.
Well, we haven't got to that yet.
Haven't got to that, but.
I haven't got to it yet.
But,
Anything for a cemetery?
any questions?
I'm good.
Cemetery?
No.
No, not yet. Let's move on to road report.
Okay, road department, put down my first amount of salt today.
You do.
Like 6 ton, I think it was.
Is what you put down today?
Yeah, somewhere around 6 ton, a pretty heavy truckload.
6 what?
Tons. They start the year.
Yeah. Now, did you just do township roads or?
Fire department, all our usual roads. Clifton, City Clifton, Village, And I ran through some cemeteries like a little bit after everything was cleared up, so. So hopefully, let's see, the first snowfall, whatever day it falls on, that's how many you'll have, so hopefully it won't be 4.
What did I say?
Yeah, that's what my wife says.
All winter or per month?
If it falls like on the 29th, you're gonna have 29 snowfall, and that's what I want to, it fell on the 4th.
The first snowfall.
Well, that was that one back in
First of the
November.
year.
First measurable snowfall.
Oh, there wasn't
Ah.
much. They didn't count that one.
They didn't count that one, they would certainly white out in the
Well,
morning.
dusty.
Yeah, well, that's
Yeah.
We had about an inch.
Did we have?
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
areas that was
Yeah,
about
They
an
should
inch.
have counted that.
You can do that in minutes, more review those minutes next year, see if that works out that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. I gotta do some guardrail work on Kyle Road. I was looking at today, and 2 end pieces are pretty bad. So,
Yeah, that whole path,
the center sections are good, and one post is good. There's 5 posts.
that thing's
4
hardly
bad.
worth, that thing's hardly
One
worth the
post
effort.
is good.
You don't think?
Barely.
And I pull it, isn't it supposed to be there?
I don't know. I mean,
And if not, if
anybody hauling down
they
that
hit it
road.
now, you're gonna end up in the woods anyway.
Mhm. I mean, what's behind it? I mean, there's no drop off to speak of.
That's a pretty good down into the woods there.
Can't just put in a couple of new ones beside the old ones?
I can put new posts in where the old ones are, take them out and put 2 new end pieces on, the end rails on.
That's what you're.
That's what I was
proposing.
saying, like,
Yeah.
just one.
Was there a county engineer standard for where,
Well, it's-
you know, where
it's
you
gotta
put
be listed.
guardrails and where you don't?
It's gotta be listed as being there, I'm sure there's a record of where the guardrails go. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was Geyer's Road before you does, so he knows it's there.
Oh, that's right. Well, that was the
He's
one
got
that was
some
turned
end
over.
pieces down there, he let me have it for $25 a piece. I'll get that.
What are those end pieces that you've been working on? Where they go?
Those went to Clifton Cemetery
Oh. Okay.
for my
Did you
interest.
put those on?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, I put guardrails over there and took down the post.
Mhm.
Part of the
So-
improvement plan project.
So you need two,
They're
two
tax
pieces,
dollars
right?
as well.
I wanna get two rails, and it'll have an end piece on each rail. He's got some used stuff they took down, it's clean, it's real nice. And each one has an end rail piece on it, the end piece, $25 a piece. The new ones are 91 a piece. So I said, well, I'd opt for the used ones.
Yeah, as long as they're like.
That is
And some bolts.
that's one used guardrail, let me tell you.
It's better once
You
up
put
there.
new pieces on there, they'll unbolt
They'll
themselves
hit
and
it
run
for
away.
sure.
So,
So I'll get that and some bolts and nuts and stuff.
what do you mean by bad posts?
They're rotten.
Okay, just,
Yeah, if I push on them, they're gonna fall over.
okay.
So I'll just pull those out, put some new ones right back in the same hole. Okay, so I'm gonna do that.
Think you can pull them out?
Yep.
They're rotten?
Yeah, I'll get them out here.
Okay.
And my other question was, can I get a digital camera so I can take pictures of
We have one in the safe.
them? We do, for taking pictures of guardrail need to be replaced or,
You got a smartphone?
Vacations in Myrtle Beach, whatever. Your phone does have a camera on it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's, that's the picture, I didn't know if I can take pictures where you can put it on a computer or if you needed to, if you wanted to download something.
Does your phone you have take pictures?
Mm-hmm.
You can just
You
email
can
those
use that and
pictures.
take it up to
Yeah.
Walmart or,
It's just got an old flip phone picture.
Oh,
Yeah.
you can't send.
I don't need another phone with all that good stuff on it.
No, okay.
I really don't.
you
You know,
can't,
Yeah,
you
we're not
can't
getting
take
one.
it to Walmart and get those pictures taken off made?
Can you do that? Take
You
pictures?
can,
Somebody
right?
get them out of your phone.
On my phone you can, but
You
it's
got a
not,
smartphone,
Yeah,
I
he's
did
got it
a
on.
dummy phone.
well, I don't know if you can do it, maybe you can, I don't know. Why
Like
not?
Chris says, we got a camera in the safe.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
this
mean-
camera safe.
Just as easy to open the safe up, pull the camera out.
Okay, well, you can show me whatever's going on with it sometime, how to work it.
Yeah.
I just thought if you know, if that's something,
Oh,
a
okay.
picture of it before and after,
Mhm.
kind of like keep a little better record of
Yeah, I like
jobs I did in terms of.
Well, it would give, anything to give it a little use, we haven't had much use, we bought it for.
You know, one of the nice things now
That's
with most cameras is that you program in the date, make sure the camera's up to date.
Right.
But then you've got a record with that picture of when the work was done too. It's not just,
Well, that's
oh,
fine.
look at what the nice job I did, but oh, you did that in
When was that?
2015.
Yeah, that's a good idea, because
Yeah.
do it, take a picture and finish it 2 weeks later, then that's a pretty good
Yeah, it
time.
also tells you, yeah, how long the job took. and lots of
I just like to
information.
keep a little better record.
Now, if you have a smartphone, it'll also tell you where you took the picture, whether it's your guardrail or somebody else's.
We're not that smart.
That's
Other than that, I don't, if I have anything from you.
Any further questions for Dan?
Couple, you've probably already seen it, but once you put that plow on, you're gonna hit that tree trunk on Snip Road if you don't push it off the side.
On Snip?
Mhm.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that this morning. I'm gonna take care of that.
It looks like it's in a condition, you probably kick it and it would.
Yeah, it looks like it's all crumbled. Yeah, I'll take care of it.
Obviously, you're not doing, well, maybe you are, but I didn't know, the clearing, you know why there's all that clearing at the top of Bryan Park Road?
The state did that.
But do you know why? It's
But I
just-
saw him doing it. He had their boom mower out there and they.
Yeah, they pushed
peeled
that back like 10 feet.
All the way up from the camp entrance around to the, like the, service entrance.
Yeah,
Both sides, that's, how far he peeled away.
yeah, I just wondered if you knew what was going on, okay.
No, I saw him out there doing, he was working it.
Mhm.
The electric phone line?
No, just to
Lines
stay
are-
by, they done all that because they replaced that tile there on
Mhm.
270.
Mhm.
And he come all down through there and he just kept going around and up past the primitive camping and everything.
Mhm.
I didn't stop him.
Okay.
I took care of the board.
That's all I had.
Okay, and let's move on to the fiscal officer's report.
Well, we have a couple of annual first of the year resolutions. The first one is to adopt temporary appropriations. So it says, be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of Miami Township, Greene County, Ohio, that to provide for the current expenses and other expenditures of said sums, Board of Trustees, for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2016, the following sums be and the same are hereby set aside temporarily and appropriated for several purposes for which expenditures are to be made for and during said fiscal year. Said appropriations are said to be the exact same amounts as on December 31st, 2015. Now therefore, the Miami Township Trustees approve these temporary appropriations and direct the fiscal officer to submit these sums to the county auditor. This is resolution 2016-01.
So moved.
Second?
If there's no further discussion, we have a vote.
Mr. Meacher?
Yes.
Mr. Sprackling?
Yes.
Mr. Crockett?
Yes.
The second resolution is titled, is 2016-02, pay schedule. Whereas it is the intent of the township to authorize the annual pay schedule of the Board of Trustees and the fiscal officer, and whereas the maximum annual salary is determined by the state of Ohio's revised code, now therefore the annual salary of the trustees and the fiscal officer is not to exceed the maximum allowable amount set by the state. It is payable on a monthly basis commencing January 1, 2016. That's it.
I move for adoption of resolution 2016-02.
A second.
Okay. If there's no further discussion, we have a vote.
Mr. Crockett?
Yes.
Mr. Sprackling?
Yes.
Mr. Meacher?
Yes.
That takes care of our first of the year resolutions, but we do have some budget work to do. I don't know if we wanna go, we just kinda do what we, roll over from what we've done before, right? With
Mhm.
maybe some minor adjustments.
Mhm.
So, that's not hard to do. And I did wanna, just note on the, insurance agents, emails that at the last meeting, the trustees asked to have them submit their quotes instead of appearing at meetings. I did contact all three that had expressed an interest. They all three responded and said that they will be sending their quote information as soon as it's available to them. So then I will pass it on to you.
Do you have an indication as to when you would expect that information?
they said, I think when when they get these, don't they have to send our business to somebody who has to, somebody else, or their people who quote for them, and then they send it back to us, yeah. Yeah, so, they didn't say, but they know that, they need to do it very soon.
February, mid-February, something like that?
I think it's February maybe 10th if I'm,
Yeah.
is when our renewal date.
We'll get done.
And, one other thing, this is not really fiscal officer-ish, but one thing I just noticed today when I was paying the bills for the village of Yellow Springs, that the Glen Forest Cemetery did have an address. They have an address on the bill of 302.
Cemetery Street?
I don't know, we can look at the bill, but I don't remember if it's Cemetery Street or it's,
Yeah.
I think it's Xenia Avenue. Like the old part. Does that make sense to you guys?
No.
Well, there you go. I didn't want to confuse
Didn't
things.
you say you just got addresses for
Yeah,
cemeteries?
yeah, so,
4503 or something.
yeah.
43, yeah. Yeah.
Well,
No, I don't know.
I guess as long as we get the bill, it doesn't really matter.
Probably Cemetery Street.
It must, yeah, it's probably something, it must be from
Might
way back a long time ago or something.
send a note back with them, back with your payment.
We're saying this is our new address.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll still send it
We
to us
hope not.
regardless, but anyway.
Yeah.
I don't have any other news that I'm aware of. Anybody?
Not I.
Nope.
No? Okay.
Mr. President, may I suggest something?
Sure.
For the benefit of staff? Since we've authorized our Chief Altman to leave because he was up at 3 a.m.
Sure.
Mr. Bogenauer probably was up at 3 a.m., throwing us all out. You might offer the possibility of, I don't know, an exit.
Has he been nodding off again?
Well, you called me, huh?
I agree
Hit
with
those
Chris.
candy canes so
Yeah.
far, no.
Sugar rush. So I can exit stage left. Thank you very much.
Go and get.
Now, our assumption was that our visitor was interested in the whole meeting. Good. Because I would feel bad. Or remiss.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
See
Drive
you
safely.
later.
Okay, our final report. After we did those resolutions would be the zoning inspector.
Okay, and I just distributed my annual report, and I will read it for the record or to pass time or whatever. Feel free to interrupt me at any
For
point.
the audience.
For the audience, that's true. I issued 14 zoning permits for a total building value of $485,600 and permit fees of $312.80. These permits represent 1 new home, 4 residential additions, 11 accessory structures, a pool fence, and a solar array. 3 of the permits and $31,000 of the value were issued west of the bike path, while 11 permits and a value of $454,600 were issued east of the bike path. So our tradition of development in the township, being in the eastern portion of the township, continues strongly. Looking at the last 13 years, values have been roughly, and I'm not going to read all of those, but the gist of it is the last 2 years have been the smallest years in terms of building value of that whole 13-year
And
period.
why would you think that is?
Um,
That might interrupt.
Two things. One, the economy did hit hard. We had a glitch there with the 2.4 in 2013, which is when an excessively large, by Miami Township standards, house was built. But you notice it was 0.09, 0.8, the blip, 0.6, 0.5. It's been steadily, it's been very low ever since we had the big correction in the housing market. The other is that at the same time, at least some of those years, farmers were doing very well, okay? And consequently, there's also less motivation to sell or subdivide land. So both those factors probably have gone together to create this situation. However, I did issue more permits, 6 more permits than last year, but they're for much more minor projects. And again, the statistics, this is the second year since I've been making these reports that we've only built 1 new house in the township. Okay. I continue to attend the bi-monthly meetings with fellow Greene County zoning inspectors. Greene County Regional Planning hosts these meetings and often schedules authorities to speak on relevant topics. And last year it was questionable whether that was going to continue, but we're back. Things haven't quite stabilized yet, but things are going well. And incidental to this report, the regional planning in cooperation with the prosecutor's office are having training sessions. You remember for a couple of years they had 2 sessions where they invited all the zoning commission members and board of zoning appeals and trustees and zoning inspectors. However, this year they're planning on a change in format to make it more interesting for the people that may have gone several times and said, oh, now I know it, I don't need to go anymore. We'll find out more, but that is being worked on. Okay, I continue to work with our zoning commission to revise the zoning code to reflect the comprehensive plan. This year, most work was done trying to align the agricultural section of the code with the comprehensive plan. I also advised the commission of relevant zoning issues that came before me. A steady amount of work is given to answering questions about zoning in Miami Township. I could look at my billing, but it's you know, there are calls from appraisers wanting to know what the zoning is on a given piece of property. There are calls from people just wanting to know what they can do and what they can't do. Often if people, particularly if people are looking at purchasing a piece of property, that's the time I get lots of calls.
Do you refer them also, in addition to giving them the information, do you refer them further to the website for the map and the zoning code?
Oh, I tell people what's available.
Okay.
It depends on exactly what their question is. Sometimes it's something I can just answer.
Sure, yeah.
It's that simple. I don't, for whatever reason, you know, the GIS system doesn't include zoning. And I don't know why they've never chosen to do that.
It's about to.
It's about to.
Mhm.
And when that happens, then I imagine most of the appraisers will no longer call. They will use the online technique. But there will always be people that aren't aware that they can get the information, I suppose. We'll see how that changes, if indeed it becomes, because that line's on there for zoning. It's been there since day one, it seems like.
Yeah. Certain sections have had that, certain sections of the county have had that, but now there's a push through Camelot to have it totally.
To do it universally.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I have no idea. I guess that might be something that might be worthwhile. I find the GIS system to be very useful, and I think just all the fellow zoning inspectors do too. But the auditor's office changes it all the time, and they don't seem to consult
each time. I swear.
You know, it doesn't seem to get better.
No, it doesn't.
I'm being kind of blunt there, but I won't say that there aren't features that sometimes are improved, but there are other things that go away. And would be nice, and maybe, I don't know, I was down talking to David Graham on something not related to township business the other day, and had a very nice conversation. Maybe it would be appropriate to broach the subject of, can townships have some input in how the GIS system works? Now, I will say, and I knew this back from working with Stephen Anderson, that the GIS system has a lot of information in it that's not put on the website. And of course, you know, and that's available to all of us, but it's a matter of knowing what to ask for or going down
Going
to
down there,
to
yeah.
Xenia to get it,
Mhm.
which is not so practical
Mhm.
as being able to go to the website. So, might be interesting to talk about the philosophies behind how that's set up for the public. But, and I also think that Greene County has one of the best systems. I've
Mhm.
occasionally used them in other
Mhm.
counties, and they're always more difficult,
Yeah.
in my opinion,
Yeah,
to
I
use.
agree.
I convened the Board of Zoning Appeals to hear a front yard variance request. Twice attended training conferences presented by the Ohio Township Association. I hadn't done that in the past, in part because I sort of spent my time going to the Miami Valley Planning and Zoning Conference in December, but I found that none of our Board of Zoning Appeals and Zoning Commission were interested in going to those sessions. And I thought, well, if I'm not helping them and not going with them, then I'll look at something that might that's a little more specific for zoning. And I've been pleased with the two conferences that I attended, and in particularly on the second one, we were solicited about topics that we were interested in, and the ones that I said I'd like to hear about, I got like 3 out of 5, which was a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
And then, sort of footnote, an unusual amount of time has been spent enforcing the zoning code in relation to the property at 1221 Glen Road, and this issue may trigger review of our zoning resolution in relation to bed and breakfasts. So that's sort
Did
of
you
an
get the
ongoing.
information I gave you, I had 2
Yeah.
sheets I left there.
I got one piece of it, I don't know, did you leave 2 different things?
One was just a copy of the minutes regarding a variance, and the other was a copy of fact sheets from the Department of Health.
Yeah, I got the fact sheets from the Department of Health. I'll look at
They
it.
were stapled together.
Oh, well, all right, then I've got the whole thing.
Okay. You have your,
I got that
Zoning.
twice, so I don't know who was putting,
I just wanted to make sure you got it.
yeah. If it's on that stack over there that says zoning, I get it.
Okay, and your next meeting is January 19th, right?
It'd be the third, whatever the third Tuesday is.
Third Tuesday.
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
I was unable to attend the December meeting. I don't know what took place then, but there's no reason to believe that the January meeting won't occur because it's the organizational meeting each year. And so and there's usually no conflicts at all going on in January. So
Did
that's
you get the note that I wrote a note from somebody on Kingsfield Court? Did you get that note? It was taped-
No,
it
okay,
was
they're
taped to
just,
the-
these things that are just
Oh,
recently.
yeah, you
like,
haven't even been in there yet, yeah, it's
Yeah,
taped,
I haven't been in
it's
there.
taped to your,
This year. Yeah,
yeah, it's, yeah.
but I will look after the meeting. No, I haven't dealt with anybody.
Well,
in
but
Kingston
Chris
Court
already
before.
kind of addressed it, right? I mean,
Well, he'll have to look at it.
yeah.
He'll look at that.
Okay.
Any additional questions for Richard?
I have a couple. Have you permitted a structure on Grinnell Circle? Looks like a garage or something.
No, I mean, not recently.
Something's going up.
Okay, where on Grinnell Circle?
Mike Gardner's old house.
A long time ago I permitted that.
Or maybe they're just starting on it.
No, I don't think so. But, okay, I will check on that.
And did you permit the pole barn on Kyle Road?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Just
again, when you say it that way, I can't be absolutely sure, but I did permit a pole barn on Kyle Road. That sticks in my memory. So are they, Chris, are they building a garage from the ground up, or are they doing some modifications?
It's kind of
or-
far back. I'm not really sure. Mr. Hannibal, do you know?
I think, yeah, at the very end,
Mhm.
right. I think it's a gazebo or something.
Is that right?
I think that they're putting a hot tub. I've been seeing various things like that,
Uh-huh.
like lattice things, and
Yeah.
they started at the end of the summer. It looked like a gazebo or something. It was kind of like right in your front yard almost, like off the driveway.
I just noted it as I was doing a road too, I was just driving by.
Well, there, because you see it, because the leaves are off
Yeah.
the trees, you can see it.
Well, it's worth checking on, if, somebody puts up a hot tub, that doesn't require a permit, or at least we never have. If it's something more, I don't know, a hot tub just sits there, it doesn't have a foundation.
Well, this has
or whatever, but
walls.
if we're doing
I will
structure, then the
agree,
building department.
it's more substantive than I thought. When they first started, I thought that's what it was.
Mhm.
But then, like you say, you can see walls and
Mhm.
there's a bit of construction noise and.
Well, in some ways, there's probably not a zoning issue, but but if they haven't gotten a building permit,
Mhm.
obviously, because the building department will call me and ask me if they've issued a zoning permit.
Mhm.
And if they're doing that kind of work, they probably ought to at least have the building department's blessing, even if they don't need a permit.
Got anything else? I just had this one quick thing that I thought I'd share with you. I usually forget most of what I.
Is this about zoning?
Yeah, it is. In our last regional planning meeting on the 15th of December, one of the issues actually it was the executive staff meeting. We haven't had a full commission meeting, but yes, it may. One of the requests is from a Sugar Creek Township resident to rezone approximately 30 acres of land, the typical from A1 agricultural to E1 rural estate. So, they could subdivide it into 2.5 acre parcels instead of, I believe they're 5 acres in the ag zone in Sugar Creek Township. But very briefly, a lot of discussion, this, that, and the other thing, and what it came down to at one point was our county farmland preservation plan, which we are updating, but it is in effect. Part of it does say that it shall be the general policy of Greene County to encourage and promote the majority of anticipated future population growth within the established urban service boundaries of Greene County. And this property, as noted by our PCC, is not within the urban service boundaries. However, their recommendation, based on the above findings, is recommended the subject rezoning grant request be granted, thank you. And I don't know, it's just one of those things, I've sat through these meetings years and years and years, and I finally find one where not finally, but I find one that I said, that's not right, this is not the way that, that we had set it out, even though, that maybe technically this or that. And we chatted about it for quite a while, and they finally all agreed and voted 4-1 to turn the thing. Obviously, it's all just a recommendation. There was no teeth to it, but recommended turning it down.
I'm going to back up a minute. We were talking about Fairborn maybe overbilling, but then we didn't talk about what their rates were. Maybe their rates are so low that the bill twice is the same as what somebody else bills once. But anyway, in the same way on this one, what we don't know, from listening to your report, is what Sugar Creek's comprehensive plan says. And their comprehensive plan isn't required to be in sync with Greene County's.
You're 100% right. I was just making the point that there is a county plan, and we're a county.
Oh, so you're supposed to represent the county
Right.
plan, okay, regardless of what Sugar Creek's plan is.
Exactly.
Oh, okay, so you should speak up and say, no, this doesn't match our
Yeah.
plan. I agree with you 100% there.
There was a couple other interesting ones, but I'm going to save them for another day. So anyway, I won't take up any more time.
No, I think that brings up the whole issue of spending a lot of time developing a plan that is supposed to be guidelines to be used.
And then they ignore them.
Right now, so I find that,
Right.
I find the whole concept of not having any legal status to be unsettling. Why put in all that time and effort? We do it, like it took how many years to get our comprehensive land use plan?
Yeah. Well, don't know, maybe I can be as bold as call it wisdom after 20, at least 25 years of this, is that we do put lots of effort into planning, and I think it is sincere effort, but we're also, both legally from the township side of things and traditionally, we also always have a board of zoning appeals that can change just about anything. And we want it to be that way. You know, in other words, we like the idea of guidelines, but we don't like the idea of straitjackets.
No, it's 100% correct, I agree. That's all I have.
Okay.
I don't know, Mr. Honeyball wanted to.
I don't know.
I really just came to watch.
Be entertained.
Yeah.
You picked the wrong meeting.
But anytime you want to say something, feel free to.
I discussed something briefly while you were in your thing with Richard here.
Executive session.
We were talking about, he had sent me an email about the history of when bed and breakfasts came into the zoning resolution. And his research indicated that it came in prior to 2000. He thought sometime after 89.
Well, it wasn't in the 89.
It wasn't in the
2000
89,
versus the
but I had
code
come by and Margaret here had given me a couple of books, and one of them was June 99, a resolution that was in fact, I found in the minutes where it had actually been adopted around June 99, and it was not in there. Bed and breakfasts were described very briefly in one sentence as under boarding house. It's part of it, a bed and breakfast is a boarding house, is all it said. And then there it was in, the title said May 2000, but then, and there it is. It's what is fundamentally in the current code. There are some few changes here and there, but the May, it was there, so I copied them and I looked at them, and then I said, well, wait a second. This was happening in May 2000. I remember one time I was here and I'd asked you, where did this come from? What is the meaning of this? Does it mean, what is permanent, what was the legislative intent? And your recollection was that, oh, that was happened years before. It wasn't in 2000, it was years before. In fact, the minutes are pretty clear it was 2000. And they came in and went to there was a zoning commission meeting, they made their recommendations, and the trustees voted on it. It was you and Morris Bracklin and Laird Dirks, am I pronouncing that name properly?
Mm-hmm.
That was the trustees at the time.
It was 2000.
Right, between.
I started January 1 of 2000.
Right, so it was in May, June, and July, there was a series of readings and discussions and whatnot. And on June 19th, 2000, there was a meeting where the very issue of bed and breakfast came up for discussion, in particular, the issue of residency. And it's in the minutes in your books back here. I won't get into it, but Mr. Dirks said, and I'm paraphrasing here, he said that he didn't see why it was necessary to have the person live there. And he proposed to strike that requirement. And it was not stricken. So,
Did the motion pass?
no,
Oh,
it did not pass.
the motion failed.
Right, and so,
That's where the section of bed and breakfast was adopted, though?
yes,
At that point?
yes.
And the trustees were
Were
adjusting it
They
slightly.
were adjusting.
from
There
what
was-
the zoning commission proposed.
The proposed was 7-day max. And Dirk said it ought to be 30. And minutes say, Mr. Spracklin said, now, 25, how about 25? And so he went with 25, that amendment was written in and that was adopted. The other one about, let's just strike that residency requirement, was not adopted. And so it seems to me that you've got 2 of the 3 people, in fact, the 2 people that said that it should remain are sitting on the trustees today. And so what I'm trying to figure out is how you can't understand what the intent was when you had the specific discussion of removing that in 2000, and there again, you know, we're in a situation where you're trying to be flexible or whatever. And then, the other thing I happened to come across had to do, because he mentioned his business with, his thing with the Board of Health and all this kind of stuff. I looked at that and I'm like, well, wait a second here, in 2006, he went before the BZA, apparently, to get a variance.
Not a, who's he?
Lamar's correct.
Oh, Lamar.
To get a variance to the very resolution on the very point that he voted to deny other people the right to accept, to have. I'm just trying to figure out how to, well, he said, I don't want to have to live there. I want to run a bed and breakfast. I don't want to have to live there. But 5 years earlier, he said, no, I have to live there.
When was that?
Well, that was in July 2000, oh, excuse me, 2006.
Well, but when, July 2000,
July,
it was turned down, right?
July of 2000, the motion to strike the residency requirement was voted down.
The zoning commission recommended the text we have, and Lair suggested that that was too restrictive, but it didn't go anywhere. He
Did he make a
proposed it,
motion?
but there
Did he
was
make a
no.
motion?
It said it's not, the minutes aren't great. It says he proposed that it be stricken.
But
Did it make a motion though?
It says he proposed that it be stricken.
Did it make a motion?
The
Did
minutes
I
don't
vote-
show
did
any
I- no,
motions
wait,
at all.
Wait,
Well, what did
did I,
you-
wait, did I vote against the motion?
I don't know how it got disposed of. If it was proposed, the minutes don't say how it was.
Proposal and a motion is not the same.
That's right.
But
Now,
Well-
wait,
Okay,
I did not vote against that.
okay. Whether you voted against it or not, if there was support for the motion, it would have passed. No?
Did I support it?
No. You didn't.
Was I against it? Let's
It,
read the minutes.
I
We
personally.
don't have to do it now, but
As
let's
a-
make sure what the minutes say.
As a non-involved party, I mean, since I wasn't there, it seems to me that if we go back to the previous discussion of why we have a Board of Zoning Appeals, is because we like to have guidelines, but we also like to not have straitjackets. And it seems to me that this is a case in point, that we have a situation where it was a practical purchase, and the one caveat, well, one of several, was the residency requirement. And it seems to me that I don't know what the Board of Zoning Appeals decided, but I'm assuming that they decided that you didn't have to live there in that particular instance. My point being that is the system that we have, and it does concern me that you can set a particular regulation and then not have it enforced. You can, like I said, I find that to be frustrating.
what, I will tell you, I have it. It says, what it says is, in terms of proposed and motion and stuff, there's no motions described, they're proposals. And what it says is, Trustee Dirks proposed an amendment about signs, and I won't read, the clause. He expressed concern that 90 days would be too short for a permitted display of certain agricultural signs. His proposed amendment is as follows. At the end of the section, add the sentence, agricultural commodities are exempt. The trustees unanimously supported his proposal. That's how it's reflected. It's not voted, they unanimously
Right.
supported. And then the next thing he says, he also expressed concern about the question of requirement of that the owner of the B&B must reside at the B&B. He proposed that the requirement be struck. Now, it does not say how that proposal was disposed of, but the fact is it wasn't adopted. So, and the language keeping the residency requirement stays, it's there today. So clearly, the other two folks on the trustees did not support that proposal. If even one of them had, it would have been struck. No?
There was no motion.
Well, then how did any of these changes get happened? Because there's no motion on any of them.
Yeah, because I think that that's just
Those aren't,
technical.
those
I mean, it's a
recommendations-
semantic discussion. He's
Yeah.
proposing something,
Yeah,
and it does not reflect how he got disposed of. If there's any way, you can postpone it indefinitely, you can do any number of things to dispose of something without voting it down. I understand that. But in terms of the folks here, I'm just trying to figure out how you can pass a resolution that says, no, we want you to live there.
well,
We
see,
had a specific thing came up and said, no, we don't want to do that. We don't want to make somebody live there. And then,
Are these things decided by the zoning commission,
That's what I was
not
gonna
the
say.
trustees?
I'd like to move
yeah.
along.
I'm sorry, well,
These
It's
things
just
are
curious.
decided by the zoning commission, not trustee.
no, the trustees vote on the zoning resolution upon the recommendation by the zoning commission.
Yeah, but there was none.
What's that?
Was there one? You said Dirk's recommended, not the zoning
Well,
commission.
I'm having a hard time finding minutes to anything right now. That's a problem.
Now, Chris,
This is the best I
Chris,
got.
is there any resolution that we can arrive at?
No, I was just trying to help, to look at the legislative history on this stuff. And, you know, I looked at the thing that the Mark went to down at Greene County Board of Health, and they actually produced minutes coming out of that meeting. But the one that he went on October 1st, and then there was another one in November.
Well,
And-
I would say that the one thing that Chris has brought to the whole function is an adherence to appropriate form in terms of making a resolution, voting on a resolution, whereas I get a little impatient knowing that in the 14 years that I've been here, I'm thinking we've only had a non-unanimous vote maybe 3 times.
If that.
Yeah, if that. And part of that reason, and the corrections on the minutes and all of that, is the idea that we do need to keep good records, whether it's for the cemetery or whether it's for the meetings that we have here. Just for this purpose, that one can go back and see and try and figure out the intent. I would say that the intent would come from the zoning board and not from the trustees themselves. It would.
I would tend to agree, unless you have a specific discussion on a specific
Right.
point, that you don't like this and you want that.
Right.
And then that becomes an embodiment of either acceptance of that new idea or rejection of it or whatever. I agree that the intent, the problem is that I don't know if there's any zoning commission minutes to what they intended with this stuff. It just,
Right.
I have asked Mr. Corey for minutes. No, I didn't get an answer from him. I wrote him a letter asking for it so I could see what the intent was. I mean, one of the things that you remember, we wrote to Miss Hayden and asked her, okay, so there was gonna be a legal opinion solicited by Greene County Board of Health to her as to what owner occupied meant in the context of the state regulation for food service exemptions. And so we wrote and said, okay, so what is it? And she refused to answer us. A week later, turns out, she went to the Board of Health in Greene County and stated exactly what it meant. And she said, she spoke regarding the bed and breakfast issue that came before the board at the October meeting. Ms. Hayden stated that the board would be safe in using the same definition the federal government uses when applying for a mortgage, primary residence. Mr. Root stated that to be owner occupied, the owner must actually live in the house. Ms. Hayden confirmed.
Well, keep in mind, she was answering a question from her client, not a member of the general public.
I understand.
And I think she explained that to you fairly.
I understand, but
Concisely.
to the extent that she wants to, she's waived privilege here, and the body has published the minutes, and it's public. So owner occupied means to her, at least in the state food license exemption, live in the house, must actually live in the house.
That is
That
not,
that doesn't have anything to do with us, though.
Now, that document that
Wait,
you got from the
wait.
state, Ohio,
That is not true.
it's not true. This is the opinion of the general, of the council for the township and the Green County.
Is it in writing?
Yes.
Did she give an opinion in writing to the health department?
I don't know.
She stood out there and read that.
What
Or
she affirmed,
stated,
this
right?
this is minutes to a meeting, so I don't know.
Do you know what the
So-
owner occupied means to the Ohio Department of Health?
I actually do, sir. Because I
That
called
means
general,
getting
I
your-
called senior counsel for the
That
Ohio
means
Department of
getting
Health.
your mail there,
No.
getting mail there. It's in their website, it's with their logo on it. It says getting mail there and paying your taxes.
That was a Greene County document produced from verbal conversations. I spoke with counsel at the Ohio Department of Health. Her name is Kadir Mujahideen or something like that.
That's not the Ohio Department of Health definition?
No, it is not.
Where
She
you got
said,
it? It's
she,
printed on the Ohio Department of Health on their website,
no, that is a document from Greene County. That
Right.
document that you had.
and it
that was-
says that if you get mail there and
Pay your
pay your
taxes.
taxes, that is sufficient.
I read
To
that.
be, that is sufficient to be considered owner occupied by the Ohio Department of Health. That's exactly what it says.
That's what that piece of paper says. The point that
What
she.
more you want?
Well,
Guys,
the point, what I want is to get a clarification from the Ohio Department of Health. I've written her, I talked to her about this at length.
the point is that there's nothing this board can do about that communication or that particular conflict between you and that particular agency. And I understand that you are, very frustrated by it, but there's nothing we can.
My point is that it should be instructive to you. That if the Ohio Department of Health believes, and what she actually told me is that it wasn't property tax, it was income tax. What is your residence for domicile for federal income tax? That's what she said. And she said that if they have construed it that way, that is misconstrued. It was a verbal discussion that they had with Greene County, and she was going to be circling back around with them. It's obviously the holidays, and not the best time to get anything done. But I did have this conversation with her, and I followed up with her recently, so I expect I'll be hearing back
With
shortly.
Stephanie.
What's that?
With Stephanie?
No, with this woman at the Ohio Department of Health, because she had actually heard people in her department that had conversations with Greene County Health about it. And she said she was generally aware of the conversations, but she didn't understand the problem that I was raising. And I said, well, it can't be that you just get your mail out there and you pay your taxes. And she said, no, but you have to live there. I said, yeah, but that's not what it says here. It's not what it says that you said. She said, well, I have to go back and get back to them. That's not, we meant that you have to live there. I said, yeah, I could have 100 houses, pay taxes on them all and get it, mail at them all. Can I operate them all as,
How would you do that?
well, I have a lot of money.
Well, for example, Mark, the people that I rent office space to and get their bills from the Yellow Springs News for their advertising at that address.
They get
The
specific
address
bills.
that, so they get mail there.
Okay.
You know.
They pay my taxes, and, but where do you live? And she said, no, where do you live though? I said, okay, that's what's not missing. That's what's missing. Where you live is not in this definition that is attributed to your attorneys. And she got very concerned when so she's gonna look into it. But again, not the easiest time of year to try to do this kind of stuff.
There are 5 bed and breakfasts in Miami Township. None of them are owner occupied. Do you want them all closed?
I think that the state law is the state law, and it ought to be enforced uniformly.
Then you're
So
saying you
you're-
want them all closed, right?
I think that the state law ought to be enforced uniformly.
You're saying close them all.
And if I'm not
Except
mistaken,
that
you're
they-
telling me that I can't do anything about Ohio law or Greene County law, so it's got nothing to do with Miami Township. I just thought it would be instructive to understand what's going on in Greene County in the context of owner occupied in the state regulation.
What do you want done in Miami
Wait,
Township?
it's,
What do you want done in Miami Township? Do you want them all closed?
that's not the,
That is the point. Do
It's
you want
not
them
my
all closed?
purview. You can comply with the law or not.
Do you want them all closed?
You can comply with the law or not.
You're not answering my question.
I'm not going to. It's not my job.
Then why are you here?
I want the law enforced. I don't think it's unreasonable.
Where's Mr. President?
That was wrong.
Well, Mr. Vice President, shall we move along down the agenda, or wait for Mr. President to come back?
I've learned what I want to learn. He made himself clear, that's fine. If it makes you feel any better, I've closed mine, so you can go on to somebody else and get them to close theirs.
It's not my purpose, sir.
I think it is. Otherwise, why would you be here?
Because we have a number of unresolved issues that remain open, and we would like to see them closed.
excuse me. Oh, gosh. Well, where are we?
Next item on the agenda is new business.
Okay. Any new business?
I have none.
I don't have
I have none.
any. Any old business?
I have one. I want to let you know that as of today anyway, our most current township meetings are available for public viewing on YouTube, and there's a link on our website, on the homepage.
Oh, very
That would be December 21st is there. And they are, what's it called? Archived, I mean, they will be all,
That makes sense.
they're not being replaced, they're like the written notes, they're
So you'll be able to go to
a
YouTube.
playlist or something like that.
Oh, boy.
Go for any time in history that you've been providing.
Well, starting,
Yeah, starting today, so to speak.
yeah, the last meeting in November is there, and the second meeting in December, because we had no first meeting
Yeah,
in
we-
December.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
We-
that's great.
it's Miami Township Trustee meeting or something like that. But again, if you go to miamitownship.net, on that front page, it says meeting videos, and that'll link you to the YouTube.
Great. Because that means
Oh, boy, we're
that,
worldwide now.
that people who don't have cable can
Right,
watch the movies.
exactly.
We
And
you have to go to the library to watch it.
I
Yeah,
have
you don't have
people,
It's a big deal, I don't do it.
yeah,
Now you do it in the privacy of your own home.
I have people come
In your
up to me
jammies.
and say they saw the
Oh,
last
people
meeting.
watch Channel 5,
Yeah.
there's no two ways about that.
And I've never seen it. So,
That's because it's too cold to watch the grass grow.
Oh.
I have no further old business.
Okay.
None.
And maybe we have a motion to
I
adjourn.
move may adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye. Captain.